right, let's get started. We are going to take another brief tour of South LA this morning and see what we find. Every day is something new. All right, so here we have vehicles that don't go anywhere, always sitting there. Bit of an encampment going on over here with lots and lots of tents. We see that there's a place where they burn fire. Okay, and these places tend to go up in flames because of the open flames that they use to heat themselves, especially right now in the winter where we are at the beginning of, actually the end of January, because it's the last day of January. And so what they do is they will use open fires to warm themselves, but those fires tend to burn up the places, and you get a lot of calls for the fire department because of that. All right, we are coming to what can be described as an open air, I wouldn't call it a market, but it's definitely a place of makeshift business. And these are things that have been propping up more and more here in South LA. Okay, these are individuals that have set up shop next to abandoned buildings or next to abandoned fields. And for the most part, these pop up almost every single day, but especially on the weekends. Some of these are put up by people who actually live here, and then they also put up their business, if you can call it that. Okay, so you just have, just by looking at things, you just have a myriad of things, from shoes to baby things and clothing galore, you name it. I see tools and vacuums. Like I said, these are becoming also more and more commonplace here in South LA. Okay, so we have people setting up shop. We have just all sorts of different things, bicycles and bicycle parts and all sorts of items that people would maybe want to buy. Okay, that lady there is street vendor, maybe food or something else. But yeah, this is becoming more and more commonplace here in South LA. Especially now with the pandemic, people are trying to make ends meet, and so they come out and they sell whatever they can. All right, so during day you can really get an idea of what's going on. You can see all the bicycle parts, the materials, just the things that people collect. I'm not sure what they do with all that stuff. So we're just weaving our way through South LA, no specific direction, just taking a look at what it's like on a Sunday morning. One of the things that you can still see in South Los Angeles are the scars that were left from after the riots. We're talking about the Rodney King riots back in the early 90s, and you can see that many of these places are still vacant. These places have been vacant since that time. It's 2021, and from the early 90s, these places were burnt and they have been closed, and nothing has ever been done, and these can be developed, but they just sit here as almost as a memorial to what happened many years ago. Okay, empty lots with plenty of potential, but just nothing happens. Here we have another small encampment here. And again, just a lot of trash. That's a common theme, unfortunately. Trash galore. The beginning of another vacant lot, something that has been happening here for quite some time. Here we have this is the other side of that empty lot. And again, just trash. I could go on and on, just miles and miles and miles worth of trash all over the place. Yeah, this vehicle, I don't know what may have happened to this vehicle. Here on this side we see just trash again. Food containers. Another empty lot. Across the street there's another vacant lot, another remnant of the rides that we had in the early 90s. Another example of an encampment right across from a school. Okay, so here's a school. Here's an encampment. Makes you wonder, if you spend more time here, maybe you wouldn't find yourself here. Just makes you wonder. Here we have another mobile vehicle. And again, these are sitting right across from a school, an empty school. Well, it's empty now because it's Sunday, but then these schools have been closed because of the pandemic. But if these vehicles remain here, maybe it'll be a good reminder of, or the encampment that's across the street may be a good reminder to students that maybe you should spend a little bit more time here to avoid the consequences that life can bring. And we're just making our way through some of the alleys in South LA just to see what we can find. Here's gonna look a little dicey. Seems like I have to weave my way through here. I'm gonna end up with new tires after this. Quite a bit of trash. Looks like an abandoned vehicle. See a lot of writing on the street, a lot of writing on the walls actually. Okay, and again, I think I've mentioned it before. They call this the newspaper of the streets. If you want to know what's going on, what kind of activity there is, then you look here and you can see that there's turf wars going on. Just like they always have been, unfortunately. Okay, you have to be careful through here. A lot of trash, a lot of rubbish. Yeah, lots of activity. Okay, you see here, just a lot of writing. This is an alley intersection, so there's quite a bit of trash going down that way. Let's go this way, let's see what we find. Yeah, so this is just an example of one of the probably hundreds of alleys in South LA. Very typical of what they look like. Just a lot of graffiti. Alright, so again, just another alley. Right on the walls. The trash. Just sits here. No one bothers calling it in. Just sits here. So I can actually maneuver through here. Tight spot. Got a lot of activity with individuals here. And just a lot of people sitting here. So here we have a loose dog just walking around. Again, quite common sometimes. And just a few feet away we have another dog. Just lost, hey, a common thing actually. You know, animals just wandering around, dogs and cats, and they end up splattered on the street. Right here we see a lowrider. Okay, very popular vehicles also here in South LA. People like to make them jump, people like to make them let's see if he'll make a jump for us. They have switches here. There you go. There you go. There you go. All right. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. There you go. Okay, so that's what we have here in South LA. Hey, lowriders galore. People have fun with those vehicles. Okay, speaking of lowriders. Okay, here we have another one. Okay, very nice purple in color. Okay, very nice rims. Okay, we see that it's just a okay, especially Cadillacs. People like to use their Cadillacs to do that. So again, Sunday cruising, something to do.